Hi students, welcome to lesson number 39, Research Report Writing, Purpose, Audience, Formal Tones and Styles, Citation and References. Let us start with the introduction. The report provides factual information depending on which decisions are made. So, researcher should take conscious steps to ensure that a report has all the essential qualities which turn it into a good report. We know that a report is a written document that shows information in an organized way using a specific format and presentation. The audience and objective are specific for a report. Report writing is a very important and final step in a research study. The research report is a means for communicating our research experiences to others and adding them to the fund of knowledge. The objectives of the lesson are to know the meaning of the research report, to learn the characteristics and purpose of a report, to examine the format of research report. Now, let us know the meaning of research report. A research report is a formal statement of the research process and its results. It narrates the problem studied, methods used for studying it and the findings and conclusions of the study. Research is defined as the scientific investigation of phenomena which includes collection, presentation, analysis and interpretation of facts that lines an individual's speculation with reality. Let us look into the purpose and characteristics of a research report. The main purpose of a research report is to communicate to interested persons the methodology and the results of study in such a manner as to enable them to understand the research process and to determine the validity of the conclusions. The main aim of the report is to convey to the reader what was done, why it was done and what was its outcome. It is written in such a manner that the reader himself can reach his own conclusions as to the adequacy of the study and the validity of the reported results and conclusions. Reports communicate information which has been compiled as a result of research and analysis of data and issues. Reports can cover a wide range of topics, but usually focus on transmitting information with a clear purpose to a specific audience. 1. The precision. In a research report, the report writer very clear about the exact and definite purpose of writing the report. His investigation, analysis, recommendations and others are directed by this central purpose. Precision of a report provides the unity to the report and makes it a valuable document for best usage. 2. Accuracy of facts. Information contained in a report must be based on accurate facts. Since decisions are taken based on report information, any inaccurate information or statistics will lead to a wrong decision. It will hamper to ensure the achievement of the organizational goal. 3. Relevancy. The facts presented in a report should not be only accurate but also be relevant. Irrelevant facts make a report confusing and likely to be misleading to make a proper decision. 4. The reader orientation. While drafting any report, it is necessary to keep in mind about the person who is going to read it. That's why a good report is always reader oriented. Reader's knowledge and level of understanding should be considered by the writer of the report. 5. Simple language. It is another essential feature of a good report. A good report is written in simple language, avoiding the vague and unclear words. The language of the report should not be influenced by the writer's emotion or goal. The message of a good report should be self-explanatory. A good report should be careful of using simple sentences instead of using a complex sentence in the narration of the facts. 6. Conciseness. A good report should be concise, but it does not mean that a report can never be long. Rather, it means that a good report is one that transmits maximum information with minimum words. It avoids unnecessary detail and includes everything which are significant and necessary to present proper information. 7. The grammatical accuracy. A good report is free from all the errors. Any faulty construction of a sentence may make its meaning different to the reader's mind, and sometimes it may become confusing or ambiguous. If a report is not accurate grammatically, then it will lose its usefulness to its users. 8. Unbiased recommendations. The recommendations on report usually makes effect on the reader mind. So, if recommendations are made at the end of a report, they must be impartial and objective. They should come as logical conclusion for investigation and analysis. A reporter should try to use universal and proven truth to his report rather than using the concept which is not yet established or completed. 9. Clarity. Clarity depends on proper arrangement of facts. A good report is absolutely clear. The reporter should make his purpose clear, define his sources, state his findings, and finally make necessary recommendations. To be an effective communication through report, a report must be clear to understand for making communication success. 10. Attractive presentation. Presentation of a report is also a factor which should be considered for a good report. A good report provides catchy and smart look and creates attention of the reader. Structure, content, language, typing and presentation style of a good report should be attractive to make a clear impression in the mind of its reader. 11. The complete information. A good report shows important information. Most of this information is analyzed as the basis of importance. A good reporter has to show the skill in such cases efficiently. A good report should show information as importance and not much so that the report become useless or vague, but it should give the reader a completeness feeling. 12. The positivity. A good report should have the positivity. It should narrate the positive statement instead of showing the negative one. Showing positivity in report helps to observe the issue positively which is covered in a report. 13. Summary. A good report should have summary by which the reader of the report can take a decision at all or stand on a decision what to do next in such condition. A summary can reflect the whole picture at a glance, so it has a large impact. So, writing summary is an important feature of a good report. Let us start with the steps in report writing. Social and development research reports need to have a logical, clear structure, be to the point, use simple language and have a pleasant layout, just as an architect has to draw a layout plan for a house that is being designed. You first have to make an outline for your report. This outline will contain a head, a body and a tail. The head consists of a description of the problem within its context, that is the research area, the objectives of the study and the methodology followed. This part should not comprise more than 1/4 of the report, otherwise it becomes top heavy. The body will form the bigger part of your report. It will contain the research findings. The tail finally consists of the discussions on the data, conclusions and recommendations. Before we start with writing, it is essential to group and review the data you have analyzed by objective. Check whether all the data has indeed been processed and analyzed as you plan in the research protocol or proposal which is duly approved. Draw major conclusions and relate them to the research literature. Again, you may be inspired to go back to raw data and refine your analysis, or to search for additional literature to answer questions that the analysis of the data may evoke. Compile the major conclusions and tables or quotes from qualitative data related to each specific objective. You are now ready to draft the report. The research report will have broadly 3 parts. Part 1, the report outline. Part 2, the main text of the research report. Part 3, the end, the terminal items. After the data is completed, report writing cannot be started abruptly. The planning process involves few steps. As research report is a means of communication, some questions determine the effectiveness of the communication, like who says what to whom, in which way and with what effect. The target audience. In planning report writing, the first step is to determine the target audience. Audience mean the people who will read your paper. Some academic writing, such as a term paper or a thesis, is written for an instructor or a committee of professors. More commonly, a paper is written for colleagues in your field, other people who study some of the same things you do. Sometimes academic writing is addressed to an audience outside your field, as when you write a grant proposal that will be read by an interdisciplinary committee. In every case, thinking about who will read the paper changes what you write and how you write it. Ask yourself some questions about your audience. Who will read this paper? How much do they already know about the topic? And what do you need to tell them? Why will your audience read what you write? And can you make them want to keep reading? How are they likely to react to what you are saying? For example, are you expanding an ongoing body of research, filling in a known gap in current understanding, or challenging accepted ideas? Also, what style of writing is your audience used to? Are there accepted patterns for you to follow, or a general tone that writing in your field follows? The answers to each of these questions will affect both the content and the form of your writing. Identifying the audience depends on who is the researcher and what is his intention. The target audience is classified into 1. The academic or scientific community, the sponsors of research, and the general public. The academic or scientific community. The primary target audience are when the research is undertaken as an academic exercise for a master's degree or PhD degree. Here, for the evaluation, the committee members will be the immediate target audience. B. When a research student or social scientist plans to publish his research output in the form of a research monograph. C. When researcher writes articles based on his research for publication in journals. Here, the referees and the fellow scientists interested in the study will be the target audience. Let us start with the sponsors of research. They are of two categories: the research promotion bodies like Indian Council of Social Research, the University Grants Commission, etc. They provide financial support to social scientists working in universities and colleges for undertaking research. 2. The government department or industrial and other organizations which sponsor research for their use in policy making. C. The general public. The general public, who are the lay audience, is viewed as a cross section of the society. They are interested in the broad findings and implications of research studies on socio-economic problems. For such audience, the report may be in the form of a summary report or an article written in the non-technical language. 2. The communication feature of the audience. Report writers should consider the selected audience's communication feature. What is their level of knowledge and understanding? What is the gap in knowledge on the subject between the readers and the writer? What is the language, scientific or generalistic, or the readers used once? What do they want to know about the study? What is of interest to them? All these questions determine the scope, form and style of the report writing. 3. The purpose of the report. What is the purpose of the research? Is it for the evaluation by experts for the award of a degree, or is it meant for implementation by a user organization? This intended purpose determines the type of report and its content and form of presentation. 4. The report type. After the purpose, the type of report to be prepared should be determined. To fulfill the requirements of a degree, the report is prepared as a comprehensive technical report. For an organization, It is the popular or summary report. 5. The report scope. Determining the scope of the contents with reference to the type of the report and its intended purpose. For example, thesis or dissertation submitted for award of a degree should narrate the total research process and experience, the statement of the problem, a review of previous studies, objectives of the study, the methodological findings, conclusions and recommendations. 6. The style of reporting. The style of report should be determined. What should be the style of reporting? The simple and clear and elegant and pompous, whether it be technical or journalistic. They are decided with reference to the audience. 7. The format of the report. The format varies according to the type of report which has to be planned. 8. Outline or table of contents. The final step in report writing is to prepare a detailed outline for each of the proposed chapters of the report. An outline gives a cohesiveness and direction to report writing work. Unless an outline is prepared, the researcher does not know how to organize. A table of contents proceeds from the problem under study and the objectives of the study, the hypothesis to be tested and the variable studied. Tones and styles. Writing research essays requires a specific style and tone according to who the audience is and what the subject matter is. Knowing how to accurately use a specific style guide will lend organization and credibility to the work of essays, whether you are writing it or publication or for college class. Essay style differs according to the subject matter and teacher preference and cannot be used interchangeably. Now, let us look into the report outline. The title and cover page, the researcher's declaration, the certificate of the research supervisor, preface or acknowledgement, table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, abstract or synopsis. Body of the report contains the introduction, the theoretical background of the problem, statement of the problem, review of literature, the scope of the present study, the objectives of the study, hypothesis to be tested, definition of the concepts, model if any. The design of the study consists of the methodology, sources of data, sampling plan, data collection instruments, field work, data processing and analysis plan, and overview of the report, limitations of the study. And at the end, the results, findings and discussions, summary, conclusions and recommendations, and the terminal items like the bibliography, appendix, copies of data collection instruments, technical details on sampling plan, tables, glossary of new terms used. Now, the title and cover page consist of the cover page should contain the title, the names of the authors with their designations, the institution that is publishing the report with its logo, example, Health Systems Research Unit, Ministry of Health, the month and the year of publication. The title should consist of a challenging statement or a question, followed by an informative subtitle covering the content and the study and indicating the area where the study was implemented. The title of the study, the name of the degree for which it is submitted, the name of the author, the name of the institutions on which the report is submitted and the date of presentation. 2. The researcher's declaration. Researcher in fulfillment of the requirements of a degree may be required to make a declaration. 3. The supervisor's certificate. Research supervisor has to certify that it was a record of independent research work done by the student. 4. The preface or acknowledgements. A preface is an introduction to a book or other literary work written by the work's author. A preface, by contrast, is written by the author of the book. A preface generally covers the story of how the book came into being or how the idea for the book was developed. This is often followed by thanks and acknowledgements to people who were helpful to the author during the time of writing. 5. The table contents. The table contains a list of chapters and their subtitles with page numbers. It facilitates ready location of topics in the report. The chapter headings may be typed in capital letters and the subtitles in small letters. 6. The list of tables. All the tables may be numbered serially as 1, 2, 3, etc. in one continuous series, or tables in each chapter may be given a separate serial order as 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 for tables in chapter 1, for tables in chapter 2, 2.1, 2.2 and so on. 6. The list of graphs and charts. If there are graphs and charts, they should be listed after the list of tables. Abstract. An abstract is a brief statement of the findings of the report of the project. It is placed at the prefatory part of the report so that a reader can get an overview of the report. It contains a brief and precise statement of the purpose and the scope of the study and the methods used for investigation and short summary of the findings. Now, let us start with the body of the report. It is the important part of the report. It covers the formulation of the problem studied, methodology, findings and discussions and summary of the findings and recommendations. It is a comprehensive report. The body of the report consists of several chapters. Now, let us start with the introduction. It is for introducing the theoretical background of the problem, its definition and formulation. The researchers introduces the background and the nature of the problem so as to enable the reader to know its significance in a proper perspective. This part summarizes the theory of conceptual framework within which the problem has to be investigated. B. The statement of the problem. In this part, why and how the problem was selected are stated. The problem is defined and its facets and significance are pointed out. C. The review of literature. It is for making a brief review of previous studies and the problem and significant writings on the topic under study. This provides a summary of the present state, if knowledge, in the area of investigation. The scope of the present study. The designation of the population being studied and the level of generality of the study are specified. The objectives of the study. The investigation questions relating to each of the objectives are presented. The hypothesis. Hypotheses to be tested are stated. The sources of their formulation may be indicated. The definition of the concepts. In order to make understand the reader what concepts are used and how they are used, operational definitions of the key concepts and variables of the study are presented. The models. Any models developed for showing the relationship between the variables under study are presented with a review of their theoretical or conceptual basis. Design of the study. In this, the presentation of all the aspects of methodology and their implementation, methods of data collection, sample design, data collection instruments, etc. are shown. Methodology. In this section, the data collection methods like observation, interviewing, etc. used are described. The sources of data shows the primary and secondary data used are stated. The universe of the study and the unit of the study are defined. The sampling plan shows the size of the universe from which the sample was drawn, the sampling methods adopted and the sample size and the process of sampling are described. Data collection instrument shows the instruments used for the data collection and their contents and other devices used for measuring variables and the procedure of establishing their validity are described. In the field work conducted when and how and what problems or difficulties were faced as mentioned. Experiences of the field work are also explained. In the data processing and analysis plan, the data processing methods like annual or mechanical used are outlined. Analysis of variables, methods of chi-square test and others are reviewed. An overview of the report shows the presentation of the results of the study undertaken to show the scheme of the chapters and the purpose. In the limitations, as every study has certain limitations, like there are arise from the methodological weaknesses, sampling, the imperfections, etc., which may vitiate the conclusions and the generalizability. The results, findings and the discussions shows the presentations of the results of the investigation and findings and the inference drawn from it, whether this is rightly done or not. The summary, conclusions and recommendations. The summary of essential background information, findings and inclusions and recommendations are presented in more extensive manner. The findings are the statements of factual information based upon the data analysis. The recommendations are done for the policy or action to be taken are suggested. For further research, indication will be given in the form of suggestions for appropriate methodology for studying them. Now, the citations. For citing books, for example, 1. Dubey, S.E., India's Changing Villages, London, Routledge and Kenneth Paul Limited, 1958, page 76. For newspaper article, 1. Editorial, Deccan Herald, Bangalore, August 5, 1989, page 6. The references. The reference cited format of documentation consists of a single listing of research references at the end of a page or thesis. It is often headed as the reference cited or reference. The sources are referred to in the text by author and year of publication and page number. The references are listed in alphabetical order at the end of the report. Now, let us sum up. The report writing is very important and final step in a research study. The research report is a means for communicating our research experiences to others and adding them to the fund of knowledge. The main purpose of research report is to communicate to interested persons the methodology and the results of the study in such a manner as to enable them to understand the research process and to determine the validity of the conclusions. And the reports covers a wide range of topics, but usually focus on transmitting information with a clear purpose to a specific audience. Thank you.